Hey there, happy campers. Jason back again with part 3 of our ages and stages talk on child development at camp. This time we're talking about the preteens, the 11 to 13 year olds, the angsties, the I haven't quite hit puberty yet, the oh my god, everything is so awkward all the time, everyone's favorite age growing up. So just like last time, we're going to be taking a look at the physical, social, and cognitive markers of this age group, and then just kind of going over what that looks like actually at camp in order to make your work with these guys successful. So starting with the physical development of this age group, these campers, they make up a wide range and variety when it comes to sexual maturity and growth. And even though girls will traditionally hit puberty earlier than their male counterparts, you'll even find this wide variety within the sexes themselves. You'll find that some's voices are starting to crack and deepen a little bit, while others still sound like their younger counterparts. And then between the sexes, there's an even larger disparity between the two of them, because girls, like I said, do traditionally begin puberty a couple of years developmentally before boys will. It's actually kind of fun. Line a whole bunch of 12-year-olds up by height and it'll be all of the boys and then all of the girls. And then because of this rapid change that their body is physically undergoing, these campers tend to be extremely self-conscious about those changes to their body, and it's really awkward for them. And then not to mention the fact that they can kind of just be clumsy, especially with all of these changes that their body is going through and them not being used to taking up as much space as they used to. And oh my god, all of a sudden my arms and my legs are way longer than they used to be and really disproportionate compared to the rest of my body. It's totally natural and totally fine, but remember, the kids are going to be super self-conscious about it. So you might get this super athletic kid from last summer that this summer is like, nah man, I want to sit out. I don't want to embarrass myself. But it's not all necessarily bad and awkward when we're talking about this age group, because if we shift into their cognitive markers, this is where this age group really starts to shine. First things first, you're going to notice that they're way more capable of thinking abstractly and hypothetically, whereas their younger counterparts are very literal and need things explained to them exactly how they are. These campers are more able to deal with concepts like fairness and equity and, the harder concepts to wrap one's brain around. They can start to understand them and process them and learn about them. And then whereas in the last video I talked about those campers are transitioning into being more grounded in the real world, these campers are extremely grounded in reality. It needs to be tangible, it needs to be in front of them. They have completely abandoned the fantasy and pretend play that were markers when they were younger. But then as their thinking shifts from fantasy into a more grounded and reality-based thinking system, they're able to use that extra brain power that they now have to be able to solve and consider multivariable problems. They can consider multiple things when trying to come up with a solution all at the same time. So they can take on some pretty complex problems, and they love to show off and use this newfound ability as well as those harder concepts that I talked about to really work on problem solving and coming up with simple solutions to seemingly complicated problems. Now, piggybacking on those more complex issues that they're ready to take on, whereas when they were younger, they focused more on the idea of fairness and the rules, now their concepts are going to shift a little bit more, and it's going to be more around the ideas of justice and equity. And so you'll see this shift within their group thinking and problem solving away from what's correct to moving to what's right, what is just, what is fair, but not in the same fairness of like playing by the rules and making sure that everybody has the same standards to be held by, and more of what is fair for this individual and for the group as a whole, and that can be flexible. Now, speaking of their peer groups are going to begin to expand and take on an increased importance at this point in their life. And you had better believe that the acceptance and approval of their peer group will very frequently trump that of the adults that are in their life. They much more care about what their friends think than what you think. So they will go out of their way to make sure that they are not being put in situations where they're going to accidentally embarrass themselves in front of their friends. And then finally, for these campers, it's very important for them to feel like they're part of something that's important, or at least seemingly important to them and their peer group. So overall, I would say that this age group is a pretty dramatic shift from the one that came before it, and that can be pretty difficult for a lot of counselors to kind of get their heads around, because very frequently the mind will start to mature at a different rate than these ones will physically. So even though they're going to look like their younger counterparts, they're still going to have some of those markers where the peer groups are super important and they don't want to get embarrassed in front of their friends, some of those things. And so you might see them and think, oh, you're just like your younger selves, where you want to, get into these things and learn about how the world works and some of the things that we talked about in the last video. And then you go to do that with them and they want nothing to do with it. So how do we successfully work with this age group at camp and make it so that your life is as easy as possible and they have an awesome summer? Well, first things first, know that it's probably going to take you a while to earn the respect and trust of campers in this age group. To call these campers slow to warm towards adults and their counselors is very frequently an understatement. Just keep at it. You be a constant that's there and that they know that you're there for them and you have their best interests at heart. And just don't put them in situations where they have to choose between doing what their friends want and expect of them and having to please you. Because more often than not, when you're starting out, you're going to lose to the friends. One really great way, though, to earn that respect and that trust is to take advantage of their desire to be part of something that's important. They really get into legacy and tradition. That makes them feel like they're part of something really big and that they're contributing to it in a positive and lasting way. They really eat that stuff up. So service projects, if there's any large events that affect the entire camp, putting them in a leadership position for that type of stuff, they will absolutely love that. And then finally, unlike before where we were playing up the fantasy and just the overall just novelty of camp, these guys are really going to seek out to have a more adult experience. So they want to just experience the activities for what they are. They want to play basketball to play basketball. They want to do ropes to do ropes. So just treat the activities that they are what they are. Don't need to reinvent the wheel. Don't need to try and do stuff to get them excited about it. Just the activities are what they are and they're fun and we're doing them because they're fun. Okay there, friends, that's it for part number 3, the 11 to 13-year-olds. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time for part 4. All right, campers, lights out.